Hello, this is Brandon Ivey, following with some e-commerce news on an article from USA Today, November 2nd, 2014, which was yesterday. And an interesting thing happened a little bit while ago, a couple months ago. Apple launched their iPhone 6 and their iWatch, but the most important news of that announcement was the launch of Apple Pay. Apple already has Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and many others, and thousands of vendors already lined up to implement their Apple Pay, which allows an individual to take their iPhone into a store and make payments through their phone rather than pulling out a credit or debit card, because your phone is tied directly to your bank account. That is the future. It is inevitable. It is going to happen. But the entertaining aspect of this is what happens in the meantime. You know, the journey to that. And here's an article. It's called "In Mobile Payments War, Consumers Are a Powerful Army." So this is a very, very interesting journey. So let's take a look at this article. Call it Walmart versus Apple, QR codes versus NFC, checking accounts versus credit cards. Whatever you call it, when two pharmacy chains recently disabled Apply Pay in their stores, it was clear the battle line was drawn in the coming mobile payments war. On one side is a consortium of retailers, including CVS and Walmart, that has agreed to next year implement a QR code-based app from Merchant Consumer Exchange called Currency. On the other, near-field communications options such as Apple Pay and Google Wallet. Both warring forces are powerful. MCX's group represents roughly 50 retail partners from Best Buy to Target that process nearly $1 trillion in annual sales. And Apple Pay's exceedingly easy system: place your iPhone 6 near an NFC device and you're done. Saw 1 million credit cards enrolled in the service's first 72 hours. But mobile payment experts say a more powerful army may yet decide the payment system victor: consumers. This skirmish will go on for a while, but ultimately it seems short-sighted to tell customers that you can't use their competitors' alternative, says Matt Schultz, industry analyst with creditcards.com. The baseline really is the credit card. The process of using one is still very easy, so everything compares to that. While acknowledging the power of the MCX group, Steamy AG analyst Tom McCrohan believes almost all retailers still have to offer an NFC option or risk losing customers. If McDonald's offers Apple Pay, do you think Burger King won't want to do it? When CVS and Rite Aid abruptly shut down Apple Pay, some customers angrily tweeted they would take their business elsewhere. The retailers had been forced to drop Apple Pay because of MCX's requirement that its group members not offer competing services. We'll see how long that's going to last. In the immediate aftermath, MCX executives confirmed the exclusivity deal, but denied reports that mobile... people calling me. Immediate aftermath denied reports that members who wanted to opt out of Currency would be fined. Drill down deeper into what's at stake, and the first issue that surfaces is the matter of credit card fees. Somewhat famously, former Walmart CEO Lee Scott was asked at a conference last year whether he felt confident Currency would succeed. Scott's response: "I don't know that it will, and I don't care as long as Visa suffers." That's a good business model. We don't care if it succeeds, just as long as our competitor suffers. Retailers like the MCX model because credit card companies cut into a retailer's profits to the tune of around 2%, often the very margin at which some low-cost stores operate. Currency ties payments to a merchant's credit card or debit card or a checking account. Being privy to consumers' shopping details in turn allows a retailer to mine consumer habits for its loyalty program. In a recent blog post, the company notes it has plans to add additional forms of payment, including credit cards, but offers no timeline. Current C app users will have to weigh the multi-step process of firing up an app and scanning a QR code against being tied into a proprietary reward system. If you're a retailer and want to stay competitive, you have to think hard about what payment system to use, says Mallory Duncan, Senior Vice President of the National Retail Federation. The things they're considering are security, cost, and flexibility, and any system will have to balance all three, says Duncan, who notes that ultimately, credit card fees often mean a retailer must charge customers more. There are complex issues at play, but ultimately the market will decide. The NFC option, and specifically Apple Pay, offers consumers a painless payment experience while promising credit card information security, since those details are stored not in the cloud, but on users' phones. Ease of use is so incredibly important as a factor here, says McCrohan. Past mobile payment failures were all due to inconvenience. If what you're offering isn't easier than swiping a card, customers may not bother. The risk of losing a customer over a clunky mobile payment option is a real issue, says Zach Goldstein, CEO of Thanks, a new customer retention app. Friction is a challenge with many loyalty programs, and if a customer forgets about you, often there's little you can do to get them back, says Goldstein. The math all retailers will be doing is it worth saving money on credit card fees at the risk of losing a customer who thinks your mobile payment is too cumbersome? The notion of creating a system completely decoupled from credit cards isn't realistic, says Jason Oxman, CEO of Electronic Transactions Association, which advocates for companies selling electronic payment products. The focus here should be on consumers, and in 2013 they spent $4.9 trillion using credit cards, says Oxman. As we move into mobile payment world, why wouldn't you as a retailer not allow your customers to use a system they want to use? The consensus is that, at least in the short term, the only point-of-sale solution consumers will roundly support is one that involves a range of mobile payment options. There is no way currency can ignore NFC payments, so a collaboration is inevitable, says Patrick Moorhead of More Insights and Strategy. All checkout counters will have to include a QR code readers, NFC, and an old-fashioned credit card swiper. Moorhead says that every consumer does his or her own personal calculus when it comes to the best way to pay, often weighing speed at checkout against the possibility of saving a few cents or dollars through a loyalty-based program. He also says that data safety is a growing concern that for some shoppers will trump saving money at checkout. Credit cards have worked for so long, and with good reason, says Moorhead, specifically spotlighting the fraud detection services such companies offer. Moving away from them is a losing battle. Ladies and gentlemen, the war is on. Brandon Ivey, Shopping Sherlock.